King Harris just got arrested in a Pikachu onesie, and 50 Cent, who's been clashing with the Harris family for weeks, just got a whole new storyline to run with. So, how did this even happen? What led up to it? And why is 50 of all people locked in on this situation? It all went down around 1 a.m. on Sunday, April 13th, 2026, somewhere in Gwinnett County, Georgia, near Holcomb Bridge Road and Peachtree Corners Circle. A camel-wrapped Tesla Cybertruck, Music, was flying through a 45 miles per hour zone like the rules didn't exist. Behind the wheel was 21-year-old King Harris, son of T, I, and Tiny, and officers spotted him speeding through the area without slowing down. Police had to push up to 80 miles per hour just to catch him, and even then, the Cybertruck kept moving at around 60 and a 45 while drifting between lanes and skipping signals like it was nothing. When they finally got him pulled over, things escalated fast. An officer immediately spotted a handgun sitting right there on the dashboard within arm's reach. Officers ordered King to step out immediately, but he wasn't quick to comply. He told them he didn't realize how fast he was going and said he was Music just heading out to grab food, but he refused multiple times to exit the vehicle. Music. That's when officers warned him he was being placed under arrest for obstruction. But this is where it takes Music a wild turn. King Harris was sitting there refusing to get out, Music, while wearing a full Pikachu onesie. Yes, a bright yellow full-body Pikachu costume in the middle of a serious traffic stop. And while officers were dealing with a visible firearm and a driver not cooperating, King pulled out his phone like this was just another moment to post. He actually managed to upload a photo of himself in the Pikachu Music outfit before officers came back. You could see Pikachu's face sitting right on top of his head, and he captioned it, "Pikachu got pulled over. They're not catching the CIO tonight." They Music caught him. Eventually, after speaking with his lawyer, he stepped out of the vehicle. Once he was out, things only got worse. He was cuffed and taken to Gwinnett County Jail, where staff found one oxycodone pill on him, a Schedule II controlled substance. On top of that, officers had already noted the firearm on the dashboard and an open THC container sitting in the center console. So, let's break it all down. According to jail records, King Harris is facing charges for speeding, not wearing a seatbelt, and willful obstruction of law enforcement. He's also dealing with possession of a Schedule II controlled substance, which is a felony in Georgia. And through all of this, he was dressed like Pikachu. Now, this arrest is everywhere online, and the timing couldn't be louder. It drops right in the middle of one of the biggest hip-hop feuds right now, 50 Cent versus the Harris family. To understand why 50 Music is paying attention, you have to go back to early 2026 when years of tension between him and T.I. finally exploded into a full public battle. Music, this beef runs deep. Ego, social media shots, and a rejected Music versus challenge all tangled together. T.I. accused 50 of backing out of a versus battle he had already agreed, Music, to, and that accusation lit everything up. T.I. felt disrespected, Music, and made it known, but 50 didn't respond with Music. He went straight to Instagram, where he does damage Music in a different way. And he didn't just target T.I., he went at Tiny too. The Music posts included mocking images and AI-generated content aimed at the family, especially Tiny, and it sent shockwaves through their circle. Music, this wasn't just rap beef anymore, it was personal, sharp, and aimed at the people closest to T.I. That's when King Harris stepped in. Watching his parents get dragged online by one of hip-hop's most relentless trolls, he decided he wasn't staying quiet. He jumped online and went straight at 50 Cent, calling him out publicly and bringing up everything he could. King didn't hold back. He brought up the 50's past. Music referenced the 2000 shooting, called him out over Lil' Kim, and even accused him of being embarrassed in moments. Music tied to Kanye West. It was a full-on attack. No filter, no hesitation, just straight pressure. Then, he escalated it even further. King went digging and posted what appeared, Music, to be official paperwork from 2009 allegedly tied to an FBI report. The document suggested that 50 had made an anonymous tip related to a murder investigation, claiming fear for his safety and naming Jimmy Henchman in connection to the situation. In hip-hop culture, that's a line you don't cross. Posting paperwork like that carries serious weight, and King didn't just step over the line, he sprinted across it. Music, and he didn't stop there. I later stepped in and said, I said that's enough. Especially after King wore a t-shirt featuring 50 Cent's late mother, who passed when 50 was just 8 years old. King wore it publicly, Music making a bold and controversial statement. Even I admitted that move went too far. He said, no, I don't enjoy it. I spent so much time trying to get this little N if off the ledge. Now he has Music justifiable means to undo all of the teaching that I've been teaching. Still, Music. He also said he was proud of how King and Domani defended their mother, adding, I'm a logical, reasonable man of respect. I raised my children to be men of respect. Meanwhile, 50 handled all of this in his usual style, memes, sarcasm, and staying above direct confrontation. He responded with things like a Peppa the Frog image showing King yelling while he laughed. While King was posting documents and making bold moves, 50 was posting cartoons and promoting major projects. At one point, Music, while promoting the 2026 Broadway revival of Joe Turner's Come and Gone, he captioned a post, no rappers, no bad BBLs, no little effect up. Albino King has just sold out Broadway, which many took as a direct shot at King, Music, and Tiny. I and his sons have thrown multiple disses his way, Music, but 50 hasn't stepped into a booth. He's been winning the battle online, controlling the narrative through social media, while building business moves on the side. So, when news breaks that King Harris got arrested in Music, a Pikachu onesie late at night with a firearm visible, substances involved, and refusing police orders, you already know 50 is watching closely. What makes it hit harder is that this Music isn't new behavior. It's a pattern. There have been multiple run-ins with law enforcement, each one adding another layer to the story. Back in 2024, King was accused, Music, of nearly hitting a police officer at a gas station in Dunwoody. Officers said they smelled marijuana coming from his car, and during that stop, they discovered he had an active warrant for failing to appear in court. He was taken into custody, Music, and booked into the Cobb County Jail, and that situation traced back even further. He had previously been transferred to Pickens County over a bench warrant tied, Music, to a 2022 traffic stop involving speeding and DUI-related charges. Music, so, at just 17 or 18, he was already dealing with serious legal issues and missed court dates, which led to more complications. Those charges were eventually dropped in August 2025, but the patterns didn't disappear. Now, here we are in April 2026, and he's facing another set of charges. This time more serious than before. A felony drug possession charge is now on the table, and Georgia law doesn't, Music, take that lightly. This time, there was a gun visible. This time, there was oxycodone found during booking. Music. This time, he refused to comply while officers stood right there. And the reaction afterward didn't, Music, help. King posted again, this time flipping off the camera and directing explicit messages at police. That attitude sparked criticism online with people questioning his judgment. After posting Bond, he didn't go quiet. He doubled down. He posted a video driving a go-kart in the same Pikachu onesie saying, Music, Pikachu is free. FK Team Rocket. He turned the entire situation into a joke. But for a lot of people watching, that moment summed everything up. A young man facing serious charges with a weapon involved, and the response is social media jokes and costumes. And when you're already in a heated feud with someone like 50 Cent, handing over moments like this goes way beyond the courtroom. It becomes fuel for a much bigger fire. The real turning Music point, though, might be what happened when I found out his son had been stopped by police. The Gwinnett County Police Department didn't just file paperwork, they dropped body cam footage, and it revealed a whole second layer to this situation. Music. The video shows the moment King Harris's father, Atlanta rapper I, pulled up to the scene and spoke directly with officers, and the energy was serious from the jump. I drove down to Holcomb Bridge Road after hearing what happened and stepped out of his car calm, but focused. No shouting, no wild moves, just a man who clearly understands how fast situations like this can go left. He approached officers with a controlled presence, Music, the kind that comes from experience, and listened closely as they broke everything down. The officer kept it direct, saying King was told to step out of the vehicle because there was a firearm sitting on the dashboard and they needed to separate him from it for safety reasons. But King refused, and that refusal is what flipped the situation from a basic traffic stop into an obstruction charge. T.I. didn't react emotionally. He got strategic. He asked the officers, did he express his fear for safety? That wasn't a random question. It sounded calculated, like he was already thinking ahead to how this would play out later. He stayed composed. No yelling, no disrespect, just trying to understand exactly how things unfolded. The officer responded, "Music, we got to be safe, too." And that moment said everything. On one side, you've got a father trying to look out for his son, and on the other, officers focused on their own safety with a weapon, music, in plain sight. And right in the middle of it all, a 21-year-old in a Pikachu onesie who had been posting during the stop. Before T.I. even arrived, things were already music tense. King questioned the officers, asking, "You want me to get out my car to talk to me about what?" He clearly wasn't feeling the situation, but the officer kept pointing back to safety concerns and standard procedure. King kept resisting at first, and the situation turned into a standoff with officers warning him he could be arrested for obstruction if he didn't comply. It wasn't until he got on the phone with his lawyer that things finally shifted. After that call, he stepped out of the Cybertruck. So in the end, it wasn't his father who got him to comply. It was legal advice that made the difference. By the time T.I. reached the scene, everything had already moved forward. King was in custody, the charges were in motion, and the situation had already escalated beyond a simple stop. For T.I., this wasn't just another viral moment. It hit different. This is someone who has served time on federal weapons charges and understands exactly how serious this can get. He knows what a felony can do, how it follows you, how it limits options. Music, and that's what makes the whole situation feel heavy. While millions watch clips and posts online, T.I. was standing there looking at the reality of it all. His son in handcuffs after treating the moment like content. The contrast is hard to ignore. Just weeks before all of this, T.I. sat down on Ebro and Laura Rosenberg's show and spoke openly about King's role in the 50 Cent feud and the struggles of trying to guide his son the right way. He admitted it hasn't been easy, even saying King now had justifiable means to undo all of the teaching he tried to instill. Music, and then this happens. King ends up in a camo-wrapped Cybertruck at 1 a.m., dressed like a Pokemon character with a gun on the dashboard and a controlled substance on music, him while filming it all for Instagram. The contrast is wild. As of now, neither T.I. nor Tiny has made a public statement about the arrest, and that silence is loud. When someone like T.I., who usually speaks his mind, goes quiet, it usually means the situation, music, is deeper than social media can handle. Too serious, too personal, or just too complicated to spin online. And right at the center of all this chaos stands 50 Cent, Curtis Jackson, the master of online pressure, the one who turned trolling into a strategy. This is someone who has built a reputation over decades for never letting a moment like this pass him by. When the news, music, broke, Pikachu onesie, Cybertruck, gun on the dashboard, music, oxycodone pill, Instagram post during the stop, refusal to get out, and even body cam footage of T.I. talking to police, it was all there. Every detail lined up. 50 Music didn't have to create a joke. The situation came ready-made. King had just jumped into this feud weeks earlier, going hard at 50, posting alleged paperwork, wearing that controversial t-shirt, making bold accusation, dropping diss tracks, and positioning himself as the one ready to defend his family at all costs. He painted himself as fearless, stepping up against one of the most calculated figures in hip-hop. But now the image flips fast. Now he's the 21-year-old who got arrested in a cartoon costume with pills on him and a weapon within reach, posting selfies mid-stop saying police wouldn't catch him. Music, then getting caught. For 50 Cent, this isn't just content, it's a perfect setup, and his response came exactly how you'd expect, through Instagram, his favorite arena. That's where he's taken down opponents for years, not always with music, but with timing, humor, music, and pressure. His formula is simple. Find the most unbelievable part, spotlight it, and let the internet run wild. That's how he keeps control of the narrative. There's also a sharp contrast he gets to lean into here. On one side, 50 Music is executive producing Broadway shows, running a major TV empire. Music, promoting business ventures and celebrating sold-out openings. At one point, he even posted, "I know what y'all thinking. How is this happening? It's very simple. I'm on fire." On the other side, you've got King Harris, who just called him out publicly, now being processed at Gwinnett County Jail in a Pikachu onesie, tied to a felony-level charge involving an oxycodone pill. That comparison doesn't even need extra commentary. It speaks loud on its own. And that's what makes this situation hit the way it does. 50 Cent has been playing this game for over 20 years. From Ja Rule to Rick Ross, from Floyd Mayweather to Young Buck, he's gone after major names and always understood one key thing. The person who stays calm, treats it like entertainment, and never looks shaken, that person usually controls how the story ends. King Harris stepped into this situation with real emotion, anger, and that raw energy of someone defending his family. And that part is understandable, but 50 Cent didn't match that energy head-on. He played a completely different game. While King was going all out, posting, music, responding, escalating, 50 stayed in the background, dropping memes, posting Pepe the Frog, promoting Broadway, and barely reacting directly. It wasn't loud, but it was calculated. He let King talk, let him push further and further, let him cross lines, post paperwork, wear that shirt, and release diss tracks. And then, music. Everything flipped in one moment. Because right when it seemed like things couldn't get more intense, the story, music, took a turn nobody could script. King Harris getting arrested in a Pikachu suit, that became the headline everywhere. It didn't need exaggeration. It didn't need editing. The situation spoke for itself. According to Gwinnett County Jail records, King was released on bond after the Sunday morning arrest. Bail was posted and he walked out. But this situation is far from finished. There's still a felony charge on the table, along with multiple misdemeanors and no confirmed court date yet. Music, and that part matters more than the jokes because in Georgia, controlled substance charges are taken seriously. Adding prior legal issues and missed court appearances, and it creates a situation where prosecutors may not go easy. This isn't just about headlines anymore, this is something that could have long-term consequences. But outside the courtroom, the narrative has already taken shape. And in hip-hop culture, perception is everything. That's where 50 Cent thrives, because while King was trying to position himself, music, as the one ready to take 50 down, the outcome flipped the entire image. Instead of looking like the one in control, he ended up in a moment the internet couldn't stop replaying. And 50 didn't have to force it. That's what makes it hit harder. No long responses, no diss tracks, no big speeches, just timing, patience, and letting things unfold. Now the image is locked in people's minds. A late-night stop, a viral costume, serious charges, and social media posts happening in real time. That contrast is what keeps the story alive. And if there's one thing history has shown, it's that 50 Cent knows exactly how to stretch a moment like this. He's done it for years. He understands how to take one situation and turn it into a running narrative that sticks. That doesn't mean the story is over, not even close. The legal side is still developing, and what happens next in court could shift things in a completely different direction. Outcomes matter, and real-life consequences always outweigh online reactions. At the same time, moments like this tend to follow people, especially when they go this viral. Every post, every clip, every screenshot adds another layer to how the public sees it. King Harris came in trying to stand tall in the heat of feud, but right now, the situation has flipped, and he's dealing with both legal pressure and public scrutiny at the same time. And for 50 Cent, this is exactly the kind of moment he knows how to use without even saying much. That silence, mixed with a few well-placed posts, often says more than a full response ever could. Now, it's a waiting game. What happens in court? What moves get made next? And whether this situation cools down or escalates again. That's what decides how this story really ends. But one thing is clear right now. The spotlight is locked in, and both sides know it. If you've been following this situation, stay tapped in because this story is still unfolding in real time. Drop your thoughts below because there's a lot to unpack here and different angles to look at. Make sure you hit like, subscribe, and share so you don't miss the next update, because when something new drops in this situation, it's going to move fast. And you already know we're keeping up with every twist and turn.